Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om. Adorations to Lord Krishna, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, destroyer of the forces of darkness. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 10, Vibhuti Yoga, the Yoga of Divine Glories, and verse number is 35. The theme behind this is gaining insight into God realization through a personality that has four movements: karma, bhakti, dhyana, and jnana. As integral yoga progresses, the I am, the central purpose of everyone's existence, is to experience the real identity, not to stay with illusory identity. Body identity is extremely illusory. The ocean cannot be described in the terms of a wave. The sun cannot be described in the terms of a reflected sun. So all jivas are like reflected suns. They are like waves in the ocean. Essentially, they are all the sun. Essentially, they are all like the ocean. So this is achieved in three broad stages. First, introduce to your mind the I am is not your egoism based I am. The I am is the absolute. You just like telling a reflected sun, who are you? And reflected sun simply deflects. And giving a startling news to the reflected sun that you are shining in many ways. So that vibhuti is that type of inspiration bringing to your mind that the real I am is shining everywhere. But everywhere again is one-step movement, quick. But from practical point of view, it must enter your mind and your personality in a successive movement, step by step. It's a progressive movement. So much so that the world becomes a source of inspiration, not source of perspiration and source of affliction. This leads you to second step, Vishwarupa Darshan. You are the entire universe and all that it contains. That is described allegorically as the Virat Darshan of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna shows his some gigantic form, many heads, many legs, many arms. So that Vishvirat Roop Darshan. But culmination is Jnana Drishti, where you are not focused on countless reflections or countless manifestations. There is nothing but one absolute Brahman, Paramadrishti. Keeping that in view, 35th verse, Brihat Sama Tatha Samnam Gayatri Chandasamaham Masaham Masanam Margashirshoham Ritunam Kusumakara. I am Brihat Sama among hymns and Gayatri among the poetic meters. Margashirsha is the month that, according to the classical Indian calendar, Margashirsha is November, December. More November, less December. That from, it's called Margashirsha, Marg, pathways. All months are pathways to your enlightenment. How do you attain enlightenment? Through your Purushartha that is done in time. And time comes in 12 months. Every year is 12 months. And the beginning of that is Margashirsha. Pathways, Shirsha is the head of the pathways. So, start raising your head from November, December. And that's the joking aspect. All other months will come, and then among months are Margashirsha. Among Ritus, I am spring season. Ritu is season. Just to give you a rough picture of Ritu. Vasanta Ritu is March, April. Is a spring season. Grishma Ritu, May, June, is the summer season. Varsha Ritu, July, August. It's a rainy season. Sharad Ritu, September, October, is spring season. Hemant Ritu, no, Sharad Ritu is winter season. Hemant Ritu is same winter season in that stage where snows begin to come to an end. When the chill that creates flakes of snow, the chilling atmosphere begin to terminate. That's called the Hemant season. And then comes Shishir, very cold. So all these are seasons. And among season, I am Vasant, spring season. That's all the details. But the basic point to understand that look at the glory of spring. No one is there to give the news to the forest. The spring season is coming. But spring season comes. No one sees where the spring season is. But every little bud, every little tree, leaves, creepers, birds and beasts all become especially energized with the coming of the spring. This is a physical description of divine glory, leading to a deeper understanding that spiritual movement is like bringing a spring in the world where you live in. Spring within yourself, a spring all around you. Every soul has that potentiality. Every soul is a reflected sun. And a reflected sun has the potentiality to be all-inspiring because it is the sun. So any individual who moves towards God realization is creating an impact on the world around him like a spring season does. And that's why it is described, Vasantavat lokahite charanta. Enlightened sage moves in the world like a spring season for the well-being of all. The first line of this verse is Brihat Sama Tatha Samnam. I am Brihat Sama among hymns. And that relates to Vedic literature. Vedic teachings are given in beautiful verses, melodious meters, and all behind that is the glory of God. See the literature, and how the same literature brings out such immense power and becomes a source of inspiration. So you are seeing the glory of God through literary teachings presented by the Vedas. Brihat Sama, Brihat relates to Brahman. Sama is equanimity. Brahman is equally present in all. When you dream, you are equally present in all that you are dreaming about: time, space, causation. The real I am is all permeating. That's Brihat Sama. So among those hymns that bring out permeating reality of Brahman, those hymns are special. You are seeing the glory of God in them. Gayatri among the poetic meters, and many stotras and prayers are in the meter of Gayatri mantra. Gayatri mantra to recite to you. Om Bhur Bhuva Swah Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Powerful mantra. Om Bhur Bhuva Swah. First you are invoking Om. And then Om is being extended. What do you mean by Om? Bhur Bhuva Swah. God who presents himself, expresses in three planes: the earth plane, the practical reality; Bhuva, sentimental reality; Swah, reality experienced by your understanding. Bhur Bhuva Swah. Tat Savitur, that who is illumining the three lokas, that divine sun, that's whom you are invoking. Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat, may that divine sun, who illumines the three lokas, may he enlighten our intellect. Dhiyo yonah prachodayat. May that light of lights illumine our intellect. Sabko same thing that we say, Sabko sanmati de Bhagavan. Oh God, give right understanding to all. The message behind this is not only Brihat Sama and Gayatri meters, but all the poetic verses of the scriptures, not only poetic but prose as well. You see the glory of God. How much is expressed through shlokas, verses, just simple statements. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityor ma amritam gamaya. Lead me from unreal to the real. Lead me from darkness to light. Lead me from death to immortality. Simple statements, but how much does it contain? See the glory of God behind. Dhyutam chalayatam tejah tejasvinamaham jayosmi vyavasayosmi tattvam sattvatamaham. I am gambling among the methods of deceit. Take it literally, gambling is very, very addictive. And it is a terrible vice. Because whatever you attain by gambling, it is on shaky grounds. You have now no security behind it. Your security is on the basis of the dice that you play with. And the whole illustration is given by Shakuni in the Mahabharata. He's a big gambler. From profounder point of view, when you are dependent on karma, you're living a life of gamble. Karma granthi. Because you are looking for experiencing happiness. Sometimes it seems that you have encountered a prosperity, source of great happiness has come to you, but hardly takes just few days. And suddenly your mind changes. Your happiness is constantly hoppiness, not happiness. And going after that is a big gamble. You are entering in a world of gamble. Moving away from karma granthi, for being under the grip of karma, to the path of yoga. Once you have adopted yoga movement, your pathways are highlighted by Shakti, inner strength, to face challenges of the world and discover your innate strength. This reflected sun to discover the strength, I am the sun, that type of strength. And as that strength is discovered, you develop bhakti, continues to develop love of God, that becomes a dominating feature in a spiritual aspirant. That you are being led by God, you are an instrument in divine hand. And that love has no limit. Love of objects is always on shaky grounds. Love of God, it is love of the truth, and that is constantly a progressive movement of delight and fulfillment. So that's called bhakti movement. Shakti, bhakti, and mukti. Mukti is liberation. So if you are following the path of yoga, your life is highlighted by increasing Shakti, increasing Bhakti, and finally liberation, Mukti. So I am gambling among the methods of deceit, valor in the valiant, victory among the conquerors. So whatever valor you see and Shakti you see and emanating from any person, in that Shakti you are seeing the glory of God. Jayosmi vyavasayosmi. Valor, victory among the emperor, among the conquerors. Whoever attains victory, that victory is a touch of divine glory. But again, the term victory has to be understood. It is not just victory in your daily projects of business. The victory in the terms of your spiritual success, in spite of challenging situations. If you move ahead, like the moon emerging out of dark clouds, that's a victory. And in order to have victory, you have to have vyavasayatmika buddhi. Vyavasayatmika buddhi versus indisciplined buddhi, vikshipta buddhi, buddhi, intellect that is going after so many purposes of life, apparent purposes. Let me give you a parable to make that clear. The parable about the crow and swan. A crow suddenly developed big ego and felt that nobody is so powerful and great as the crow is, until he saw a swan soaring from a distance. And he watched to compare. Is swan greater than him? But became frustrated. The swan was moving just with one type of speed. And the crow laughed and laughed at the swan and started swirling around many ways of flying. And ridiculed the swan. Do you know all this way of flying? The swan says, no, I have no need to know all that. Let's have a competition. Let's go towards the shore and see who goes there first. Crow agreed, so both of them began to fly. But the crow, with his ego, displayed all his flights, became so exhausted, began to drown in the ocean. The swan looked back with compassion, took the crow on his back, brought it to the shore, and comforted him. Don't worry. It's better to have one way of flight that takes you across than 99 ways of flying. So, that called Vyavasayatmika Buddhi is that type of intellect that has a mature understanding behind it. And that you continue to develop progressively, little by little, if you are involved in daily life, doing your yoga in a rhythmic pattern, day by day. Karma yoga, bhakti, dhyana, jnana, all four well harmonized like melody in musical notes. Self-effort among those who endeavor. Everyone is endeavoring. But not for fulfilling purpose, the four purposes of life: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Dharma is ethical value. Ethical value must be the basis. If that basis is not there, your self-effort may be magnanimous and very powerful, very skilled, and yet you are far from real success in your life. This point has to be understood. So just accomplishing a task and gaining success in the eyes of people, that's not the goal. The goal is that type of success that enables you to grow in ethical values, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Dharma is the ethical value, is the basis of your purushartha. Artha is material value. Kama, vital value, how you relate with people around you. Moksha, liberation, is the ultimate value. If this purpose is being fulfilled, you are doing your self-effort. If you are not, it's not fulfilled, then you are just doing monkey business. Monkeys also do a lot of effort. So, when you see self-effort in any individual, the way I described it, your mind becomes inspired. It should turn to God, see God's glory is operating through the person. How much the person will achieve is beyond imagination. And sattva guna among the sattvikas, another point. See the miracle of sattva guna, the mode of sattva, and try to bring sattva in your personality. Enhancing sattva in your personality. That's the secret of spiritual growth. But sattva must be enhanced to such an extent that it does not serve tamas and rajas in you. This is this point is brought about in Ramayana. The role of Ravana, Kumbhakarna and Vibhishana. Kumbhakarna is tamas, Ravana is rajas, Vibhishana is sattva. In the early stage, all the three made tremendous progress, but it was a demoniac progress. All the three gunas give you the progress in the world, all types of progress. But all worldly progress is Ravana's progress, a progress that is securing ignorance. But then there comes a time when Vibhishana begins to be drawn more and more to Rama, led by Hanuman and many other factors. So much so he is kicked by Ravana. Sattva now, instead of serving Rajas and Tamas, becomes a channel for developing devotion to God. This must develop in every individual. So therefore, attend on the details of sattva. Begin with your food. Turn your attention to sattvic food. And all this is like an art. What is sattvic for one person may not be completely sattvic for another person. Banana is always sattvic. But eat 10 bananas, it becomes more tamasic. So you have to figure out the type of food that brings nourishment in a scientific way in your personality, and that in a sattvic manner. If you are eating food, overeating it, no matter how sattvic, and if you are completely not eating it, but in between, mitahar. Similarly, sattvic speech. Do not be so rushed to speak out your sentiments. Allow your mind to have patience. Understand what the reaction will be. From your side, you may be very clear and rational. But the person to whom you are saying, it may come to their head like nails. So, be careful. Learn to speak in a sattvic way. Sattvic nidra. How to live your life style in such a way that your sleep becomes a deep sleep and a sleep that revives your energy. That type of sleep becomes sattvic sleep. Healthy sleep, sound sleep. This is not sleep led by intoxicants, but it's a natural. Each good habit is a progressive movement, little by little. Developing sattvic virtues, all the Daivi Sampat, fearlessness, humility, compassion, patience, truthfulness, and all the virtues. That movement is a sattvic movement. Sattvic action. Study sattvic literature and try to be in sattvic environment. Vrishninam Vasudevosmi Pandavanam Dhananjaya Muninam api aham Vyasa Kavinam Ushana Kabihi. Among Vrishnis, I am Vasudeva. Among the Pandavas, I am Arjuna, the conqueror of wealth. Among sages, I am Vyasa, Among poets, I am poet Ushana. These are highly condensed literature. Vrishnis relates to a hereditary line originating from sun and moon. I'm giving you advanced meaning, otherwise there is people go through a whole lineage who was father of Krishna, who was the father of Vasudeva, etc., etc. They end up with a royal personality called Yadu. So they are called Yadavas. But Yadu himself comes from a deeper source. Instead of going into all these details are just to keep your mind busy with some fabric of practical reality. But practical reality is distant from your spiritual insight. The insight is all enlightened beings, all sages and saints, they belong to Uttarayana. Uttarayana has two highlights. Sun is highlighted and moon is highlighted. Aham Jyoti Agnir Jyoti Aha Shuklam. In the beginning, the fire. Remember the Uttarayana mark, fire of Vairagya, the light of Viveka, discriminative intellect. Aha! Your daily life becomes purposeful, joyous. All this movement is highlighting the sun. And then next stage, Shukla. In the firmament of your heart, the moon begin to wax. The moon of divine love. So, if you are following Uttarayana, you can be called belonging to the solar race or belonging to the lunar race. And so, Krishna, pointing to his own personality, directs his finger to Uttarayana. He belongs to that line of Vrishnis, who is the descendant of solar and lunar movement. In brief, you live in such a way that you see your personality in an objective way. The deeper you is the sun. Your personality in the world is expressing the glory of the sun. So from an advanced point of view, you are. Your personality and what's happening to it comes like your subject matter. You study it. And you allow the personality to become as magnanimous as possible. And this is not difficult to understand. Whenever you are praised by your good deeds, you look at yourself. If you are sincere and try to understand what makes you so popular, and thereby you have an objective view of the qualities you have developed. So Krishna is pointing out to his own personality as son of Vasudeva. Similarly, among Pandavas, I am Arjuna. That again we have gone through many times. Krishna and Arjuna. Arjuna is the soul that has developed qualifications. What type of qualifications? Arjuna is described conqueror of wealth. The qualifications are divine virtues. Virtues are wealth. Among sages, I am Vyasa. Vyasa has written so many Puranas, whose glory shines through Vyasa, God. Among poets, I am poet Ushana. Ushana term very little comes in the scriptures. Ushana relates to inspired poets. Ashan is food. When food inspires you, is ashan. But when divine food inspires you, it is called Ushan, Ushana. In other words, the glory of what gives so much power to people who are poets. In poetry, you bring out a message which is not limited to some palabras. The same poetry will give you, open the door to a voluminous view of life. Say, for example, this is a poetry. खड़ा हिमालय बता रहा है डरो ना अभी पानी से. Standing mountain Himalaya is telling you, do not be afraid of storm and rain. It's poetry. It pleases even a child. A child stands up, khada Himalaya. It pleases a mind that is trying to practice self-control or some virtues and facing challenges. This is inspiration. With faith in God, develop Himalayan strength. So you will not be afraid. So a poetry opens the door to many meanings. That's how you can see the Gita with 18 chapters. How many commentaries have been given, and they will never end. And with this, I'm going to conclude. Om Ram 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 Ram. Om Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om. Prayer for shower of Karunamaya Ras grace of God with the blessings of Shakti, Bhakti and Mukti for all of you. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukuma Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyama Mritat. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Hari Om Tat Sat.